My name is Rolly Poins. I'm the co-founder and senior vice president at Sourcepass. I lead our all strategic partnerships. We are a managed services provider that provides IT services, cyber services to clients nationwide. We have about 9 locations, 550 employees that are spread out nationwide to help and support our clients.
Sasha Purik, CTO for Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment, 76ers, basically organization that is in sports and entertainment management practices, ranging across NHL, NBA, NFL with the Commanders and the Devils as well. I think we're roughly across all those properties, roughly about 1,000 employees right now. I've been here for 7+ years, look after all of the technology strategy across the sports properties, venues, and other smaller properties like theaters, like Lowe's Theater, and other growth opportunities for the organization.
My name is Zach Saitis. I'm the Senior Manager of Backup Disaster Recovery here at Sourcepass. I have about 11 team members dedicated to backup and recovery services here. I basically help manage the Acronis relationship and built out the backup environment that the 76ers is using now.
Well, again, it's interesting. Typically, the organizations, when they ask questions about what do we do in sports with data, they expect us to lead with like, oh, here's all this amazing player data. And it's a huge part of what we do. But we're kind of balance of business, sports, collaboration. So data protection for us is more than just protecting, important player and performance data. We run regular business like every other organization. So from that perspective, our data protection really has to span across typical entities, finance, legal. So, the 4 real big categories for data protection for us are sports and sports properties. So player performance data, and then also all of the analytics data related to business as well as the team performance. Then we'll look at the entire, sort of portfolio of collaboration and communication tools. Again, it's really one of the critical pieces of how we are successfully running our organizations is how well we work and collaborate together. And I think the last piece is like overall fan engagement. All of these things can roll up in understanding and engaging and communicating our fans in a form of a video and audio content, photo content, publications and content online. All of that is the data that we manage and protect using Acronis and Sourcepass at the front end of supporting us in that.
We started working with Sasha and his team and supporting the Sixers. We were impressed by just amazing amount of data and how organized the team was and how knowledgeable they were about their environments. It was an easy transition to support them on the Acronis platform. And then there was a very thoughtful process that was put in place on how we would migrate that data. What does disaster recovery look like? And how does the support look like ongoing for a fast-paced, high-stress national sports team like the Sixers? It was easy to work with, easy to implement, and that's really the beauty of the Acronis platform. It is easy to use. And the team that is supporting on both the Acronis side, the Sourcepass side, and the Sixers side all seem to work really well together.
That's a really interesting point, Rolly, because when we look at, you said it's easy, the product is easy to work with. We hope never to really know if it's easy or hard. It's been easy because we rely on the sort of a product capabilities within Acronis. That's sort of a unified agent platform that allows us to do a on-prem to cloud backup, cloud to cloud backup, 365 to cloud backup. So all of that sort of complex portfolio of the capabilities is kind of being shielded and protected on our behalf with using Sourcepass as a front end of this thing. So we look at you guys not as the vendor. We don't look at Acronis as a vendor. We look at the solution that you guys provide from data protection perspective for all this amazing data we talked about in the categories we discussed earlier. And we love the fact that you guys are sort of part of the extended team as opposed to a vendor. So we never call you a vendor. We call you a partner for a number of reasons. But the key thing is that, you are doing the work while we sleep. And hopefully with all of the reporting capabilities that are built into the Acronis, all of the automated testing and blowing up the systems in the sandbox, all that stuff goes a long way to make sure we feel comfortable that data is protected in a case that we have to do a recovery. And I think that's a sort of huge testament to this, partnership. I think you guys call it TeamUp. I call it 1 + 1 = 3 because we're the silent one in the 3 equation. We kind of just stand back and let you do your thing. So we appreciate that sort of partnership between Acronis and Sourcepass that really helps us actually execute our data protection strategy without having to worry about looking at a backup every single morning, what went through, what failed, what went wrong. Your team kind of looks after that 24/7. We just wake up to a bunch of nice reports and, reports as to what needs to be remediated or repeated. So thank you, Zach. Thank you to you and your team. If I haven't said this before many times.
One of the things that you don't think about when you talk about different sports teams is their IT. And it was definitely eye-opening for us to, when we started first engaging with the 76ers and their IT team is, wow, they have a lot of infrastructure that we need to, back up and support. And it was really good to see and get to know everybody on that team and understand, when we can deploy backups, but working with them to configure it just how they want it, retention plans, number of backups a day, how the reports are generated, how often, and what do we need to see in those reports. So it was really cool to build that relationship and then continue to support that.
We used a pretty decent product before. It was also sort of a on-prem to cloud solution as well. We just found that the sort of that unified pane of glass especially when you use cloud component, we found the simplicity and the speed and the support mechanism behind the product itself was the one that sort of won us over, and we've never regret the decision we made. We do have a lot of disparate data. I mean, the reality is that we don't run one organization. We're not a company that runs one type of a product. Our product is the fan experience when you actually think about it. But what goes into that fan experience ranges from, how well the guys perform in a practice, how well they perform on a court, and also goes to the many different aspects of our business: legal, accounting, finance, food and beverage, retail operations, all of those sort of disparate businesses, like a mini mall in a box, if you think about it. They all deal with their own set of data. They all need to be secured, protected, and we have to make sure that we're doing our best to have it ready in a mode where if we need to do something, God forbid, that's like a recovery, that we're able to do that. And we feel confident that the solution we have in place is actually going to let us, continue to test and execute that process.
In a partnership, I think it's also the alignment of businesses. Sixers is a 24/7, 365 environment, and so is Sourcepass, and so is Acronis. So having been able to support you seamlessly through no matter what you do and what your initiatives are and what your disaster recovery plans are, we are excited to be able to complement that and make this truly a win-win partnership, because all three organizations here are really growth oriented. We care for our customers, and in your case, you care for your fans and of course your ecosystem. And that really creates a seamless alignment and a win story for all this, for Acronis, Sourcepass, and the Sixers.
So recently, people always ask about, you get together with a bunch of colleagues and they all ask about, what do you use for cyber? What are you using for data protection? What are you using for this? We all like to share. As much as we compete on the floor, you take a bunch of IT guys and put them in a same room, and we all want to share and copy each other to make sure that we're trying to do the best and learn from each other. So somebody asked me about what's the backup strategy and product? They said, well, we use Acronis. And oh, how is that for you? So great product, does well. I quite honestly, if I don't hear about it, it means it's doing really well. And they said, how do you who's managing it? I said, we have a partner, Sourcepass, and if it's a good product, why do you have somebody else looking after a backup? It's sort of a relatively simple thing to do every day. And quite honestly, it's almost like an insurance policy. Everything is fine until you have to solve a problem. Is backup and disaster recovery product knowledge and management really at the core of what we want to do for the organization? Probably not. You guys do this for a living every single day, 365 days a week. We're never going to be able to match your experience and your product knowledge in the same degree, in the same way that what you can do. I mean, we just simply can't do that. And again, 24/7, you're working, we're sleeping. That's a hell of a difference for us. So we look at it as really as an extension of the team. And the reason why we like this sort of partnership with Acronis and Sourcepass, great solution, great product with a really good partnership. Company like yours, Rolly, that really invested in understanding us as a customer and what we do. Because again, we're different. I won't shy away from saying that. You've taken time to understand who we are and how we do things around here. So I think that's also helps along the way. When we pick up the phone and I need a favor, I need to do something, you understand where we're coming from. You're not, trying to figure out like
Very
what
true.
specific needs we have. So anyway,
Very
I've
true.
talked too
And
much.
no, and I'll say, people don't realize that sports teams have a lean IT team, but all of it rides on technology. And Sasha's team, the Sixers IT team, is not, can't be masters or be involved at the minutia level for every technology that they consume. And services and business continuity is so important when you support a professional sports team. You have to always be up and running, always on. And that's what we provide from this partnership with Acronis, because it always works and it executes. And that at the end, it is about who you call and who services you, who supports you. What does the relationship with your, service provider and your client looks like when you need something? And that's where we come together in a unison. And that's what makes this a winning partnership.
It's backing up 365 is super important because when you go back to the core of what a backup is, it's not just having an extra hard drive with your data on it. It's pulling that data and putting it into somewhere else, like the Acronis cloud. So we're able to restore something or recover something that if Microsoft were to go down, heaven forbid that happens, we're able to recover, those emails or those SharePoints or, all that data that's stored in the Microsoft cloud, that we're able to pull that back down for them should something happen in Microsoft.
The performance of it is so remarkably good. And I mean, the only thing I'm aware of is sometimes you have a mailbox that, doesn't get backed up and you get an individual alert on the individual mailbox. It's not telling you, oh, we couldn't back up email. It tells you, hey, Zach's email was not backed up for X reason. I mean, it gets really granular from that perspective. We generate a lot of communication. So that unstructured data that lives in a 365 platform, mission critical for us. And as such, it's important to be backed up because user will inadvertently delete stuff. And there's some retention policy within the 365, but in a situation where you have to prepare for a real disaster, you got to be able to recover that from a completely separate third party. There's some other value add stuff, Zach, that I've seen recently. I think the Acronis is demoing a email archive search capabilities, which is something that we want to take a look at a little bit more deeply for search and retrieval of the archival messages, and which is really interesting, performance feature for us.
Yeah. And not just the Sixers, Sasha. I feel like critical businesses today don't realize that Microsoft does not back up your environment. It is not backing up your mailboxes. You need a backup service if you want to be able to query and find that data tomorrow, say for an employee that leaves or for an environment if you're migrating and getting acquired. So it's really important to have a good, reliable backup service, a reliable product like Acronis to back up your O365 environment, which holds all your information about your business and your employees. As a managed service provider, it is really nice that Acronis offers security into their backup environment, like multi-factor authentication or encryption that allows accessing that data or keeping that data very secure versus us layering on other tools and making the product expensive, but also cumbersome to manage for Sixers and our other clients.
I mean, again, cyber is such a wide spectrum of tools, and there's no one tool that does it all kind of thing. You kind of look at a best of breed capabilities. I think the data protection that's, offered to us from Acronis is an assurance element that's really important in a sort of a ultimate disaster recovery case. It's good to understand and know that we have data that's up to speed and recent on a daily backups, or even more incremental backups we do sometimes during the day, that's available to us to restore. So that's kind of the essential part of that's the original cyber protection when you go back to like 30 years ago when we started to get into this sort of a industry of client server based services with Novell, or furthermore with Microsoft. Backup has always been the first initial detection and protection platform. Then came everything else. So I think it's still at a core of the important elements as to why we need to make sure we have a solid strategy in place for DR and backup.
On the business side, as we grow, we are a fast growing managed services provider. And as we grow, we add more tool depth debt to our environment, and it's hard to manage. It's hard to, it's resource intensive. And it's important to be efficient when you are managing environments for your clients. So on a business side, it's costly. It is hard to find talent that can support your tool sprawl. And also operationally, it is a big headache to solve. And then Zach, I'll let you talk about the technology benefits.
Yeah, it starts with training. And first, we have a really good training environment inside Acronis for all of our techs. When they onboard with Sourcepass, they go through that training, and then we have test environments where we do test restores and things like that. And it's super important to see a partner like Acronis develop with us. So take our feature requests and implement those into their next agent updates or their roadmap. It's super important for us. So we look at that when we're trying to mitigate that technology sprawl or backup support, how many portals we have, being able to unify that all under one portal in Acronis and manage all of our clients has significantly impacted how much time it takes for us to repair a ticket. Sasha mentioned, it doesn't matter if we get a ticket for an email or a server backup. My team is going to be on that quickly. And since they have that training with Acronis, they're going to be able to repair that. They're identifying the error. They're familiar with the system. They can get in, repair it, and have a good backup complete. It's different for obviously a lot of different backup vendors. With Acronis, we really see 15 to 30 minutes to resolve a common error, and that's what we see. We have direct integration to our ticketing system, so we're alerted immediately when something happens, and then one of my technicians is able to get in there, resolve the issue, update Sasha's team if needed, or connect with them if anything further needs to happen. When we look at other backup vendors, we're maybe spending upwards past an hour, maybe 2 hours to just resolve something that could be simple, but it doesn't have maybe the same kind of training that Acronis does, or the system isn't, that backup system maybe has been neglected a little bit because the partner there is not as up to date and in tune with the other MSPs that are using their backup system like Acronis is. So Acronis is always listening to our ideas, what we think can be more efficient, what other things that we need to recover. And again, speaking to what Sasha said, one of those implementations was to back up email archive, have email archive backups. So that was listened to, that's now delivered, and we're now able to support that. So it's good to see that, real-time delivery of a new system that we're able to use and provide to the 76ers.
We kind of raised this question. We raised the requirements, and I'm sure we're not the only one. I don't pretend we're that much important, but it's a functionality that, it's one of those times when you're really going to need it because, the emails are getting bigger. Let's face it, a lot of the organization using email as the file management system. I don't think that, anybody can tell me otherwise. Even with the strong restrictions on the retention policy, there's still quite a bit of, volume of data in emails. And then you kind of resort to archiving that stuff so you can continue to operate efficiently. And then the archives have to be backed up and protected in the same way because they're no longer just not important. They're actually functional, emails that we have to refer to quite a bit in the past. So, we like the fact that we're seeing what seems to be like a really mature product. We seem to find ways to be surprised once in a while. There are certain functionality and feature sets that are still important to Acronis to continue to develop and grow, and for Sourcepass to understand how to, implement it for us and make us, understand how well it's positioned to support our business. I think that's sort of the evolution of we say like it's a 30, 40-year-old solution in a BC world that's been running really well, but it still continues to evolve. And that I think is a testament to the focus of the organizations like yours on data protection for companies like us.
And I will say that after moving to the Acronis platform and as a managed services provider, Resolution time is very important to us. We are a resource-intensive business, and having tools and platforms that allow us to be more efficient is more profitable for us. It's better for our customers because we can provide true business continuity. Having moved to the Acronis platforms, our teams are almost 50 to 75% more efficient in resolving tickets and attending to our clients and servicing our clients, which is a huge win for us.
So yes, to address when we get Acronis alert tickets and we're trying to resolve something, it takes about less than half the time than it normally does with another backup vendor. And why that is through the training that we have with Acronis, and we're subject matter experts. We have a ton of clients in Acronis. We've built out templated actions to take when we receive a certain alert, and we're able to expedite that and get that resolved quickly, and then update the client to basically say it's resolved. And but if necessary, we can reach out to Sasha's team and inquire a little bit further and get it resolved.
The managed service provider, but as I said, like, we don't look at you guys as the vendor, as a managed service provider. We really look at you as an extension of the team. You know, just somebody who's got a deep expertise in a product that we rely on, you know, from data protection perspective. And we trust that your deep knowledge and access to the right resources and capabilities always look after the best interest for us. You know, so while we know Zach, there are, you know, I don't know how many specific employees Zach, but there are many people behind Zach in his team that to us are Sourcepass friends. And we don't really know who they are. We just know that when we need an answer, they're typically there ahead of us. Like, as I said, like Zach said, like they get an alert email on a backup. That doesn't come from us. It's not me looking at a report saying, "Oh, Zach, why is this not backing up?" It's most of the time Zach's team is sort of sifting through the information and getting alerts to ensure that, you know, the SLAs we, you know, collectively put together are being met, and not just from the contractual perspective, but really from the data protection for the company perspective. So from that sense, it's been great. I mean, again, they're part of the team. We just don't have them sitting next to us, and we don't have them on a 4-digit, you know, dialing. So you know, the relationship has been great. Zach has been great. Your team has been great. Again, we wouldn't be here still talking about the product and the services if we're not happy about it. So thank you.
The TeamUp partnership from Acronis is ingenious. I wish more of our partners did that. It is a win-win for not only the MSP, the managed services provider, Acronis, but also the clients, because it just gives everybody an opportunity to, one, work with solid A players, also use technology and create a winning proposition all around. And we're so glad this is our second TeamUp opportunity with the Acronis team. And so far, not only it helps us in terms of working with a professional sports team like Sixers, which is absolutely amazing. And we're able to drive some of that benefit in terms of creating hospitality nights and bringing our clients and our customers to the Sixers arena. And of course, we have an office in the Philly area. So that is a huge win for us. And having that accolade and being able to have our brand represent in the Sixers facility is just enormous for us. Secondly, just supporting Sasha, getting to learn about their business and providing that service, be a service provider to a professional sports team, is just unbelievable for us. And working with Acronis, that is an immense opportunity. It's a win for all of us because Acronis gets to work and really go to market with us and grow with us as we acquire new clients and grow nationwide, but also, you know, the possibility of supporting Sasha and the Sixers in other opportunities is opened up through this TeamUp partnership.